Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salim Siddiqui, and thanks for watching this continuing series on the hotconflict.com website. We're talking about the unseen and discussing issues such as jinns and aliens and beings from the other dimension, and we're disclosing all kinds of disclosures and talking about fun and interesting stuff. Now, we said we're almost at the conclusion, and since we've been talking about so many different issues in this final wrap-up here, we're going to be talking about the exact moment of first contact or awakening or disclosure or this process of change in this universe. And we said that if you've been listening to this story and we've been understanding what it is I've been addressing at in essence, it is that there are certain fundamentals, that there is a creator, angels, without free will, and other beings, and other humans, and other planets, and other civilizations, and prophets, all with scripture, and all of them descending in a line with the Prophet Muhammad being the final messenger of the prophets of light. And there is, of course, a day of judgment and heaven and hell for eternity, and all of this is by the plan of the Lord Most High. And since we're saying all of this is by the plan of the Lord Most High, that the methodology and style of the story is even done in a certain way and by a certain plan, so that when I tell you why it is that people are talking about certain disclosures happening at a certain time in November, that people understand why they think that window is and what it is connected to, so that you understand the reasoning behind it. Now, we said that at the end of the Stories of Truth, 1 year ago, I gave a warning. And that warning was about the changing of the sun. And I said that the reason why that is a warning is not that we are talking about fear and destruction, but that there is a certain change that occurs on this planet. And we know from the text of the hadith, or the statement of the Prophet, that in a karmic or cosmic or consciousness level, on a soul level, there is a difference between what happens before the sun changes and what happens after it. What do we mean by that? We said, my brothers and sisters of the light, that this story is about believing in the unseen, and that you are trying to purify your heart and learn from what you see and what you understand to find your path and your way, by believing in the unseen, believing that there is a creator that you can't see, believing that there are angels that you can't see, believing that there is order and synchronicity in chaos, that there is not actual chaos, but believing that there is an actual plan for everything. This deeper understanding is the process of ascension. So what is the dire message or warning within the changing of the sun? Contrary to what most people have understood, is these changes of the sun is not the beginning of your enlightenment. It is the closing of a window. After the sun changes, that which we are talking about will be very manifest. And the changing of the sun acts like a pillar between those who ascend prior to or believe in the truth prior to the changes of the sun, and those who then have to go through parts of the test of duality after the changing of the sun. There is a clear, concise difference, and it is important. This is not to instill fear, but to understand on a spiritual level what the fundamental difference is. That being said, we are suggesting that beings from other realms are going to make themselves openly public, and information about this is going to be disclosed prior to 2012. So then the issue then becomes, what will you believe? What do you believe now? What do you believe if these changes start to occur and when open first contact and beings from other planets and dimensions are within your sight? What do you then believe? Do you then believe in a creator, in unity, in oneness? Do you see beings of light? Or are there some amongst the earth who still see beings of dark? There are those who are suggesting that some of these groups of the higher realms are not of the light. And we have maintained through this story the whole time. It is your job to discern who is of the light and who is not of the light. It is not to blindly follow any group, to understand the whole story. Now, that was the warning, and the warning still stands. Don't ignore the coming changes. You want to be one who recognizes the truth, consciously sees the changes, chooses to ascend themselves, and decides consciously that they no longer need to be tested by duality and that there is nothing remaining in duality that holds them, and they are willing to raise their vibration up and ascend themselves. Now, how and when is that easy, and when is the best time to tune into that? Well, we said at the end of the Stories of Truth a year ago, I gave the warning about the changes of the sun. And the other thing that I did was give a proof and challenge, right? We did a dramatic thing where I talked and ranted and raved, and I was screaming at the top of my head and talking about the proof and saying, I'm going to give you a challenge and you will give me the proof. And those who listened to the story thought, man, this guy is really, really nuts. Right? It was kind of dramatic. But we said, what was the challenge again? We said that I don't have to give the proof to you, but you would give me the proof. And at the ending of this story now, almost a year later, I am saying that I am going to give the same challenge. But because I said in a strange way that we are explaining everything about the unseen and explaining everything about the deeper understandings and mystical understandings, I'm even going to explain the deeper meaning behind the challenge itself. Now remember what happened in the story a year ago. I said, you give me the proof that what? When the true storyteller follows the signs and the pattern, and at the appropriate moment tells the story in the appropriate way based on the signs and the signals and the patterns of the vibration, then there is something that occurs at that time. This is what Jesus, son of Mary, did at the Last Supper. The appropriate moment and the appropriate time to tell the story, not time in physicality, time on a clock, but time in a moment of pure nowness where everything aligns because it is destined to be so. And he tells the story from sunset to sunrise, and the prophet tells it from sunrise to sunset. And I have now, at the end of these times, where we're talking of the times of darkness and the times of the setting of the sun into the darkness, someone in the English language has come and told you again the story of truth. And because I said it was at a specific time in the challenge, that it is at that time, I said, that of your greatest scholars and most knowledgeable people, you will now disclose openly new knowledge and information that has never been disclosed